My wife's lover. The phone rang at 11:37 p.m. I almost didn't answer, but when I saw the number, unknown, unregistered, my thumb moved on its own. A man's voice, smooth, confident, too confident. "She's with me now," he said. No name, no introduction, just that. My chest tightened, not with panic, but with a silence so heavy it pressed against my ribs. I didn't breathe. "And if you want to talk to her," he continued, "you'll need to contact my lawyer." Click. The line went dead. I sat in the dark, the screen of my phone glowing like a wound. My wife's slippers were still at the door. Her perfume still hung in the bedroom. The dinner plate she never touched sat cold on the table. But her phone wasn't on the nightstand. Her handbag wasn't on the chair. The man's words cut through me again. "She's with me now." Not where, not why, just a claim. Ownership. And then, his lawyer. That was the part that stuck. Why would a lover need a lawyer? Unless this was more than betrayal. Unless it was calculated. Unless I was already caught in a game I hadn't realized I was playing. I didn't rage, I didn't scream. I simply sat still, staring into the dark, my pulse steadying with every second. I would meet his lawyer, and I would find out what game they thought they were playing. Morning light arrived like a dull knife across the blinds. She hadn't come home. No call, no excuse, just silence. The neighbors would notice soon. People always notice absence before they notice presence. I sat at the table with cold coffee, staring at the chair opposite me. I pictured her there, smiling, lying, pretending. All the months she had slipped out for late meetings. The business trips that ended with perfume on her clothes that wasn't hers. The nights she turned her back to me in bed, whispering on the phone. I had ignored it. I had told myself marriage is built on trust, not suspicion. But trust without proof is only blindness. Now, the blindness had been ripped away. Still, I didn't allow myself anger. Anger clouds judgment. I needed judgment clear, sharp, surgical. I opened my laptop, searched the number that had called me. Nothing. Private registration. Intentional. Then I searched her accounts. Email, messages, everything I already knew how to find. She wasn't careful. She never was. And there it was. A trail of correspondence. A name that appeared again and again. Not written like a lover, but like a man who thought he owned her. And then, an appointment. A meeting scheduled with his lawyer. Her name beside his. The same time she told me she was at a retreat. My lips pressed into something almost like a smile. The pieces were forming. It wasn't just infidelity. It was a transaction. I started small, quiet. I checked her phone records. Numbers repeated at odd hours. The same one that had called me. His. I checked her bank statements, transfers. Discreet, but not hidden well enough. She was draining our accounts, funneling money into something new, something shared, a life she had been building without me. I called a lab, ordered a DNA test kit, not because I doubted the children, there were no children, but because I wanted leverage, proof of what was and what wasn't. Betrayers feared documentation more than confrontation. I visited his office, pretended to inquire about services, watched him from a distance. Suave, polished, unthreatened. The kind of man who believed he could take without consequence. And through it all, I played the part of the oblivious husband, smiling when neighbors asked, calm when friends inquired, silent when her mother called to ask why she wasn't answering. Inside, my mind burned cold. I let suspicion cook. I let every detail sharpen. And when the appointment with his lawyer appeared on my calendar, I circled it. Not with dread, not with pain, with precision. The lawyer's office was sterile. White walls, polished oak desk, the faint smell of old paper. He looked up when I entered. Young, nervous in the eyes, though his suit was pressed sharp. "Yes?" he asked. I sat, leaned forward slightly, my voice steady. "I'm the husband." His face drained of color, paler than paper. His lips parted, but no sound came. That was enough. He hadn't expected me. He hadn't expected her husband to walk into this room. I pulled the folder from my coat, dropped it on his desk. Bank statements, phone records, photos, copies of her messages. His hands trembled as he reached for them. He stammered. "She said you wouldn't." I cut him off with a glance. Cold, final. "She lied to you too." Silence. The truth was laid bare, not spoken, but written in the way his shoulders sagged, in the way his eyes refused to meet mine. Even her lover's lawyer had been manipulated, a pawn in her game. And now the board was mine. I didn't storm out, I didn't shout. I simply gathered the papers, slid them back into the folder, and stood. "Tell him," I said, voice low, deliberate, "that he can keep her." The lawyer blinked, confused, desperate. But I turned, my hand on the door. "Tell him he won the prize, and remind him that some prizes come with a cost." I left the folder behind, not the originals, just copies. Enough to ruin her if they wanted, enough to poison what they thought they had. As I stepped into the hallway, I imagined her face when he confronted her with the same lies she fed him. I pictured her scrambling, explaining, watching her carefully built illusion crumble in the hands of the very man she betrayed me for. That would be her punishment, not me, her own lies devouring her. That night I returned home. The dinner plate was still on the table. The house still smelled faintly of her perfume. But I no longer saw absence. I saw vacancy. She was gone. And with her, the last weight of my blindness. I poured myself a drink, sat in the silence. And when the phone rang again, unknown number, insistent, I let it ring. I didn't need to answer anymore. The game was over. She was already lost. And I had already won. Some betrayals don't need revenge. They collapse under the weight of their own lies.